Hello. This week's way to be a better human is inspired by creativity and inspiration. Let the worries of your everyday go and let your brain wander. Maybe go for a walk or sit down and read a book or even just sit outside, front porch, back porch, pour yourself a nice drink and just turn your brain off of all the bad things and just take in the moment. Let that be inspiring to you and then go do something with it, you know? Whether it's any kind of art project, or maybe you're writing a book, or maybe you really enjoy making music or writing poetry, or, just write a good, inspirational, and creative thought on Facebook today. Go be inspirationed, inspired. Go be creative, because remember, what you put in the universe, you receive from the universe. So why not be a little creative today? Hello, boils and ghouls, and everyone creepy in between. This is another episode of the Average Ghost Mom podcast. Okay, so first I'm gonna say, if I sound kind of weird in this episode and in next episode, it's because I recorded them in my room and not in my closet. I choose to record in my closet because all of the shirts are good for like sound dampening, so there's not very much echoing. But I just could not get in there today. I couldn't squeeze in there and set up my laptop and everything. So I'm sitting in my bedroom. Um, but this episode, I have a feeling it's going to be shorter. Um, I don't have too much to say, but I have a lot of open ended questions for you guys, okay? Today, we are just talking about getting these dang kids fed, right? I know usually I go for healthy things and whatever, and I'm not saying that all of these are healthy. Well, I'm not saying they're unhealthy. There's things you can do to make them healthier, but some of these recipes I've not written down the recipe, I've written down the dish. Some of the dishes aren't quite like the best, but that's not what this episode is about. This episode is about you ain't got much time on your hands, and these kids are hungry yesterday. Well, these kids are always hungry, I tell you what. They always asking for snacks, you know? So, it's hard to keep them full anyways, but you got home, it's dinner time right now, and you don't have nothing, you know? Or, theoretically, you know what, just listen, you get it. We're just getting the kids fed, okay? As long as they're fed, as long as there's food in their bellies and they're full, going to bed tonight. That's all that matters right now. Okay? Um, some of these dishes or some things you can do to help with these dishes so they're not taking as long to cook when you get home is to like prep them before, whether you're prepping them like the weekend before the work week or you prep them before you go to work that day, you know, Um, everyone's situation is different, and I try to do my best to come up with some ideas that could be fitted into multiple situations. Because some of us, two income house, we both work, you know, we both leave in the morning, come back in the afternoon, and it's sometimes you just do not have the energy to cook for the day. Um, sometimes like in my situation, I work from home. So even though he gets up and he goes and he leaves, like I'm the main cook of the house. So though I cannot actively cook while I'm on the clock because there's always just so much work to get done, um, I can prep some stuff in the morning before I clock in. I can go run in and throw the casserole into the oven and come back and sit at my desk for 30, 45 minutes and then when it's done, pull it out, put it on the oven to cool off before, serve yourself while I'm still working, Because I work until 5:30. I used to get off at 4:30 and now because I have to change my schedule because of Ava's schedule, I have to work till 5:30. So, for a while I was used to get off work and then I have time to start dinner and cook dinner. Now I get off usually when dinner is done, and it's really been throwing my schedule off. But I have some ideas, and I hope that this gives you guys some ideas and inspirations. I think this also would work for like college kids too, theoretically speaking. Um, but it's mostly you could there's some ideas in here that are good for crock pots. So if you're allowed to have either a crock pot on in your dorm room, or if you're allowed to have the crock pot in, in the community kitchen in your dorm, where you don't have like a dorm of like assholes. Like, this is just here's some ideas that could theoretically be applicable to you guys as well. I'm also going to throw in a shout out again to the AnyList app. Um, I love the AnyList app, and this is not a paid sponsor. I'm not big enough for that yet, but I seriously cannot tell you guys how much I love it. I choose to pay the annual fee. It's like 15 bucks, whatever, so I can have access to like everything in the app. Um, if you're on like a website, like online, and you're like, "Oh, this is a cool recipe, like I want to save it." You act like you're going to send it to someone, but instead of sending it to someone, instead of sharing it to someone, you share it to AnyList, and it copies and pastes the whole recipe, everything about the recipe, the website, pictures, everything that you need gets put into the AnyList recipe format perfectly. Oh, almost perfectly. Because sometimes when people put the ingredients list, sometimes they put the lists weird, and AnyList can't quite comprehend that part. So you might just need to check the ingredients and how it's like actually written down in the app. But aside from that, it's awesome. And it has different like subcategories that you can put these recipes in. So like, oh, if you're feeling like this is like if you have like a casserole dish, you can have like a casserole genre. What the heck? Subcategory. If it's a crock pot meal, you can have a crock pot subcategory. If it's a sandwich, like anything you can think of, AnyList can help you subcategorize it. Um, and AnyList is like a really helpful app because then also you can go to the meal planning tab, and if there's like a specific recipe you want to do on a specific day so that you remember like, oh, which day am I doing what recipe? You can save the recipe to that day. Like you don't have to just make a note that says, oh, such and such casserole. Like you can put that casserole recipe on that day so when you open up that day, boom, there it is. You don't have to like scroll through and be like, oh, which casserole was I doing? This one or that one, or I don't remember. And then from there, while you're going through the recipe list, through the recipe itself, oh, you need an onion? Boom, click this box, puts it on your grocery list. You need a clove of garlic? Boom, grocery list, you know? So it's super easy. It works almost seamlessly within itself. And with importing new recipes, if you need help with staying organized with your grocery list and with your meal planning, I cannot recommend this app enough. It's so good. Um, so let's get into just feeding these dang kids. I've got two kind of main categories and then some other little things and some notes. So I'm just gonna put it all out there. I'm also going to say, I did not look at any of the actual recipes for this. I just looked online to get some ideas and I wrote a lot of them down. But I wrote the dish down. So if any of these dishes sound good, it's just to help with some inspiration for that. But go Google, go do your own research, for sure. I do not have all the answers to everything all the time, you know? So you can Google easy casserole dish, easy crock pot dish, easy meal, college meal, kids, easy college meals, whatever. It's out there. I did it then, I'm doing it now. It's always been done. So here is a surprisingly short list of casseroles that sounded good to me off the internet, and I have tried um I've tried definitely one of them, and it did not work out very well. So when I get to that one, I'll let you know. But um, breakfast casseroles, pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it, but like Mexican food, it's the same ingredients, just put in a different order, you know? I have made my own breakfast casserole without looking at a recipe, just like I did well, I did look at one recipe so I can kind of get like the basis for how breakfast casseroles should be done correctly. So sometimes you can get like the hash brown squares, sometimes it's just tater tots, sometimes it's just shredded hash browns, but um put in your eggs, get your meat, put the cheese, put it in the oven, you know. It is what it is. It's all going to bake together. It's all going to be mushed together anyways. But breakfast casseroles, pretty easy, generally a good crowd pleaser. Then there's the tater tot casserole, which instead of using like breakfast food and eggs, you use like hamburger meat. I think sometimes you use eggs. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I think tater tot casseroles are kind of weird because it's like, why would you name the casserole based off of like one single ingredient theoretically and not like the general of the dish? Because in my opinion, it's kind of more. I don't really know. I don't know. But we have pizza. What is it? What did I write? Oh, just pizza casserole. Sorry. Pizza casserole, which is like instead of your pizza and the toppings going on a pizza, it's going on noodles. Um Mushroom pasta. That sounds good. Sloppy Joe casserole, ranch chicken pot. What did I write? Oh, chicken ranch potato casserole. Golly, Kristana. Um, Hamburger casserole. And then I think, okay, so the hamburger casserole, you put down, I think your tater tots. No, noodles. You cook your noodles, you cook your hamburger meat. And this is the one that I did, and I will never be able to do it again. But if you wanted to do a variation of this, I would say go for it. But the recipe that I had found called for mixing together. You open a can of diced tomatoes, pour it into your pot. You get your sauteed onion, put it in, mix it in. I'm like, okay, so far so good. And then it says, and then add in your diced pickles. And I'm like, oh, sure. And then add in half a cup of mayonnaise with a quarter cup ketchup and a quarter cup mustard. And I was like, whoa, because I'm not a mayo girl, and I definitely don't like mayo mustard ketchup together on a burger. That's terribly disgusting to me. And then those sauces mixed with the juice from the tomato can, no, it was over. I said, okay. In that moment, I'm like, I'm probably not eating this, but trust the process, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. It'll be good. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. It'll be edible. We put it together. I served it. Josh took 2 bites and was like, because he didn't know what it was. So his comment was, I think this would be really good on bread. And I'm like, well, it's hamburger casserole. So it's usually served on bread. But today I decided to do it over noodles for the hell of it. And he said, oh, oh, no, this isn't good anymore. And I'm like, I don't blame you. Let's get something else for dinner. We had some leftover pizza. So we just had leftover pizza that night. But going off the hamburger casserole, I think you could also kind of do like a Mexican casserole because if you just don't put in the mayo, mustard, ketchup, and the pickles, like, look, literally, you are taking all the ingredients of a hamburger or a cheeseburger, okay? Throw away the bun, chop up all of the everything that makes up a burger, and throw it over noodles. That's what that is. So literally, you could do the same thing with like a taco. Throw away the shell. Everything else that you would put inside of a taco, chop it up, throw it over noodles, right? That's the gist of this. So, I'm adding Mexican casserole to this, but I don't know if there's actually like a different. Well, I guess they'd probably do it over rice or not noodles. I don't know. I don't care. It's your food, not mine. Anyways, They've got a chicken nugget casserole, which is just a chicken nugget version of chicken parm. That one doesn't sound very appeasing to me. Chicken nuggets instead of like breaded chicken breast. I don't know. To each their own. Then there's a Mexican chicken casserole, which is basically just nachos. It wasn't over noodles, it wasn't over rice, it was over tortilla chips. It's just nachos. Anyway, cheesy mashed potato and ham casserole. Then there's TikTok famous sushi bake. There is a cheese croissant bake. Ooh, there's a Reuben casserole that I want to try. And I saw the barefooted neighbor also did a Reuben casserole. And it might have been the same recipe, possibly, but it sounds really good. I'm very intrigued and I'd like to try that sometime. Um, there's a broccoli cauliflower casserole, which I think is more of like a side dish casserole than like a main dish casserole, but vegetarians go hard, I would assume. Beef noodle casserole, which is basically just like beef stroganoff casserole. Um, chicken cordon bleu casserole, which I'm not a fan of chicken cordon bleu. My dad made it once. He's a great cook. I just don't really like the dish. Chicken, ham, Swiss, I think is what it is. I'm just not a fan of it. Creamy kale and gnocchi bake, and then buffalo chicken and rice casserole. Um, there's a good handful of these that sound good, and there's a good handful of these that don't sound good. Um, I cannot sit here and say if I am or am not generally a casserole girly. I would have to say I'm probably not, but I think that probably comes from I just didn't eat very many casseroles growing up, and it's just not really part of my personal taste. I don't know. Either way, some of it sounds good, some of it's questionable, but for the casseroles, if you can pre-cook your meat, do that. Pre-cook it for the week, you know? Any hamburger can be pre-cooked and it's generally good for a week. And then from there, you just let the oven heat it back up. So you don't have to sit there and cook the meat afterwards and then put it in the oven. Like you can generally a good handful of casseroles can be pre-assembled like the morning of. So that way when you get to work, or excuse me, so when you get home from work, you just throw it in the oven. Or if your significant other or roommate gets home before you at a reasonable time, they can preheat the oven and put the casserole in for you. So pre-cook your meat, pre-cook your pasta, pre-cook your rice. I don't know, maybe don't pre-cook your rice. Some casseroles call for the minute rice, and some casseroles call for real rice. It just, depends. Probably don't pre-cook your rice, actually. Let's scratch that. Now another thing, and I just thought of this when I was writing everything down. I don't know if it's something you have to do or if it's just it's good practice to do, but I feel like if you pre-assemble your casseroles and then you put them in the fridge for the next 8 hours and then you take them out, I feel like if you have the time to get the baking dish and the casserole more like up to room temperature, that you should. Now, I understand that baking dishes are able to withstand extreme heat, but I'm not sure if it's very good for them to go from like what, 30-degree temperature to 400-degree temperature in a matter of seconds. I don't know if that's good for the tempered glass. I don't think it's tempered. I don't know what tempered glass is, so scratch that as well. I don't know if you should get it to room temperature. I would assume if you have time to, you should try to, but I don't know. I didn't look that part up. I just wrote down the concern and now the concern is your own problem. Anyway, let's move on to crock pots. I grew up with a lot of like pork loins and roasts in the crock pot. So those are like two things that I generally do not cook because I had them so often growing up. It's just something I just can't I find no pleasure in cooking and no pleasure in serving and no pleasure in eating that. And I'm a foodie. Like, dude, today I was not hungry for dinner at all. But he was like, "Hey, let's go out to dinner. Let's go out to this restaurant." And I was like, "Hell yeah, dude." Because I was excited to have that flavor, you know? And roasts do not excite me. So, crock pots. Oh, also, um, I'm sure I just thought of this just now. So between Josh and I, we have two mini crock pots. We don't have a full size crock pot. And most crock pot recipes call for a full size crock pot. But you can either A, split this between two crock pots, adjust the sizing. But B, for like the college kids, you could just do like half of the portion. Just cook half a portion, you know? Just buy yourself a pork loin, cook half of it, freeze the other half. I did that once. Half a pork loin fed Josh and I and Ava perfectly. No leftovers, but we were not still hungry, you know? I mean, we had other things with it, but anyway. So I definitely promote and support for college kids having mini crock pots. It kind of just comes down to if your dorm will let you cook in your room, like, hey, can I throw this in the morning and then come back at the end of the day after classes and after practice and yada yada? Like, is it okay if I cook in my room? Because I almost wouldn't trust the other students, but I don't know. I feel like in a boys' dorm, like you can't trust boys. They're fucking stupid and they're always trying to do stupid shit. But like girls' dorm, I would assume girls would not be like, "Oh, what's this cooking? A roast? Don't mind if I do." I feel like I would hope at least girls aren't like that, but I guess it's none of my business. Anyway, here are some crock pot recipe ideas. We have a classic chicken and dumpling, which I'm not a fan of chicken and dumpling because of the dumpling texture. Um, I had it once. I've had it twice. Yeah, I've had it twice. One was, though it was homemade, everything like was prepackaged or pre-canned or whatever, and the other one was everything was completely homemade. The dough for the dumplings, the only thing that wasn't homemade was like the chicken, but the gravy or the sauce or the soup or whatever that goes on it was homemade. The flavor was good. The texture of the dumplings is what got me, and I could eat it if I had to. But there's a lot of other things I would prefer to have before chicken and dumplings. Um, there's pulled pork tacos. There is any homemade soup can be done in the crock pot. Put all of the ingredients in, put it on low, see you at the end of the day, bud. You know? Of course, roast and pork loins are always optional for a crock pot. Those are classics. Shredded chicken and noodle crock pot. I'm pretty sure that's a soup. Maybe it's not. I don't know. That's all I wrote was shredded chicken and noodle. I don't know what I was talking about. Ooh, chili. Oh my gosh, when it's soup season and you get to make chili too. Mm-mm-mm. We also got barbecue chicken, which that could just be eaten just plain on your plate. You can turn it into sandwiches, put it over some pasta with some cheese, put it on some cornbread, put it on I'm sure you could even put on a soft shell taco if you really wanted to. There's queso dip, that's pre-cook your meat if you put meat in your queso dip. Otherwise, if you're just having a girl dinner, dude, I girl dinner hard. Honestly, if I didn't have a man, Ava and I would probably grill dinner all the time. We would just cheese, banana peppers, slices of meat, couple chips. You know, that's it. That's all we need. Um, buffalo chicken dip. Some people really like rock hard with buffalo chicken. I'm not personally a buffalo chicken fan. I have to really be in a mood for buffalo. I'm usually a barbecue chicken kind of person, but some people really love buffalo chicken dip and go for it. If you like your butthole to be on fire the next day, that is all for you, baby. That is not for me. Um, cheesy scalloped potatoes. I tried cheesy scallop potatoes once. I did not. I had the recipe, and I notoriously strayed away from the recipe, and then it didn't quite end up as good as I wanted it. It was still kind of runny. It wasn't as thick and cheesy like I wanted it to be, but it was good. All the potatoes were cooked. Um, ooh, beef sandwich. Cooking some sort of like a roast, but then not just eating it as a roast, but like putting a specific set of like seasonings and a sauce with it to cook in, and then shredding it and putting it on a sandwich with like some banana peppers and provolone and a little bit of red wine vinegar and olive oil, a salt, pepper. Mmm. Oh my gosh. Um, Somebody made ribs in the crock pot, and I thought that was crazy. I would never have thought of putting ribs in a crock pot. Now, I don't think you can do ribs in a mini crock pot unless you specifically only put like enough for only you to eat. Because generally people eat like 4 or 5 ribs, you know? And I just don't see a mini crock pot being able to put more than a serving of ribs for one person in. Ooh, corned beef and cabbage. I am a fan of corned beef and cabbage. I love cabbage. Raw, cooked, whatever. And I love corned beef. Corned beef and cabbage in the crock pot is something I'm probably going to try this next year when it's time for March. When it's time for St. Patrick's Day. And then there is a Asian recipe of beef and broccoli I wrote down because I feel like that's a pretty good recipe. Beef and broccoli, it's solid, protein, vegetable. You just gotta cook rice. Good to go. Um, for the crock pot, I don't think you necessarily need to pre-cook anything. It kind of just depends on what you're making. If you're making like a soup or the queso dip, you probably should pre-cook your meat or at least pre-par cook your meat. But if you're doing something where like the crock pot is intentionally supposed to be like cooking the meat and not just simmering the flavors together, then you don't need to pre-cook your meat. You just make sure your meat is not frozen, you know? Even then, I'm sure there are some recipes where it's like, yeah, frozen, not frozen, whatever, it's fine. Um, let me see. Ooh, pasta dishes. If you do not mind jarred sauce, then I think this is a really good one for the family. Okay, so hear me out. Like we're always trying to teach our kids to be more independent. Um, and I think this is a really good way to incorporate their decision making into dinner so they get a say as to what is being served. But then also the kids can help with this and potentially when they're a little bit older, I'm talking hmm, like 12, 13, 14, depending on, how independent your kid is, depending, at those ages. They could even just make this themselves, theoretically. They could be the one cooking dinner for you guys. So this is one I would say you can prep the meat, you can pre-cook the meat, but I would not pre-cook the pasta. Um, I just don't find that pre-cooked pasta tastes very good. But I'm an al dente person. So like do not overcook my pasta. And the way how you overcook that is you cook it al dente, put it in the fridge, pull it out the next day, and heat it up, and that makes it overcooked. It's just terrible. So if you can spare the 10 minutes to cook the pasta while like the sauce is heating up and the meat's reheating up, then I would say go for that. But look, if you've got 3 kids, maybe even 4 theoretically, there's 4 different options with this, possibly even 5. Okay, so pasta. Someone chooses a pasta. There are so many different kinds of pasta: spaghetti, angel hair, bow tie, uh, spiral, corkscrew, penne, uh, shell. Technically, tech, technically, the Italians did say, okay, these kinds of pastas are meant for these kinds of sauces and dishes. But over here in America, does it really matter? Not if it'll keep your kids happy, in my opinion. So, one kid, pick out the pasta. Pick whatever you want, go for it. One kid picks out the sauce. So many different kinds of sauces. You start with red sauce, white sauce, pesto sauce, and then from there, there's There's a couple different variations of pesto. There's a couple different more variations of Alfredo. And then there's a nice abundance in red sauces. Um, I also personally say don't go for the pre-jarred meat, like the pasta sauce that has meat in the sauce already. Look, I don't trust that. I don't trust that. But that's my personal opinion. Whatever's going to get your family fed, because we're just here to get these damn kids fed. And then the third kid picks out the protein. So are we doing hamburger? Are we doing ground turkey? Are we doing ground sausage? Are we doing meatballs? Are we doing shrimp? Are we doing chicken? Just about any of your regular main, meats is good in pasta. Shit, you want to do hot dogs? We'll do hot dogs in pasta. I've seen that before. Absurd, but I've seen it. And then if you've got four kids, the fourth kid can pick out the salad mix. Because Walmart's got all those pre-made, pre-mix, the pre-portioned salad mixes. So kid number four, go pick out, 2 bags of salad mix so we can have a vegetable with our meal. Kid number five, if you have 5 kids, kid number five, are we having cheesy bread? Are we having garlic bread? Are we doing garlic like slices? Breadsticks, garlic knots. What are we doing? What's the bread that we're doing? Are we doing a big loaf of French bread and we're cutting that up into pieces? What are we doing? They get to pick that. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and hell, I don't know. If you are really good and you include fruits, sixth kid can go pick the fruit. Whatever. You know? So this gives a chance for them to have a say in what food is going in them, and theoretically, potentially, they need to work together as a team as well because, if one kid or if I don't know. It kind of comes down to people not liking certain options that are picked, but also at the same time, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Um, so debatable, whatever works for your house, but any pasta, any sauce, any protein with side salad and any sort of Italian bread. And that's perfect. That's fantastic. Have that once a week, you know? Let me see. Breakfast? I think breakfast for dinner is anytime fantastic. You can pre-cook most of your meats. Do not pre-cook your egg. Do not pre-cook your egg. Do not warm it up in the microwave. Cook that on the stove. Unless you're a college kid and your only option is in a mug in the microwave, which I've done that before. Don't pre-cook your egg. Cook those fresh. Um you can pre-make the pancakes and the waffles. Um that I've done that before. That wasn't really quite an issue. Um I'd pre-make waffles and then Ava would get 2 waffles in the morning and she can put them in the toaster. Because if you pre-make them, put them in the fridge, you can still put them in the toaster and it'll heat them up. It'll crispen them up a little bit. So they don't have to be frozen in order to go into the toaster. Or if you want to microwave them, you can microwave, whatever. But breakfast for dinner is a fantastic idea anytime in my books. Salad kits. As a okay, I'm not saying I'm single, but as a single person, which I'm kind of talking more to the college kids, literally going and grabbing 7 salad kits. Let's see, seven, that's maybe like $10. Boom, that's a lunch every single day. I'm fine with just eating a salad kit. And you don't even need a bowl. You just need a fork. You can put all the toppings and the dressings and all the stuff in that bag, shake the bag up, mix the bag up, and then boom, walking salad. You can take that from class to class with you and you don't need a Tupperware. You can have a Tupperware. It makes it a lot easier to mix the stuff up if you have a Tupperware, but I'm not saying you need it because I know college kids are limited on space. So, um, quesadillas and nachos, I think have always been easy. Nachos, pre-cook the meat. So then when it's time, you just need to reheat the meat up and then boom, chips, meat, cheese, vegetables. Here you go. And that's customizable too. You can pre-chop all of your produce, so like your lettuce, your tomatoes, jalapenos if you want fresh jalapenos, onions, you know, olives. You can pre-chop all that up, pre-cook your meat, put it in the fridge. Then when you get home, heat the meat up, and then boom. All right, single file line. What do you want in your nachos? Boom, 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 boom. There you go. And if you like liquid cheese, or cheese sauce, I should say, like I like cheese sauce, literally put that on low, pour your jar of cheese sauce in the crock pot, put a little bit of milk in there so it gets a little bit liquidier, put it on low for the day. Or if your spouse gets home before you, have them put it on high. It's literally, that's how I do it. That's how I do it. Um, and quesadillas, you're just melting cheese between two tortillas. You can put protein in if you want, you don't have to. And then from there it's the same, pre-cutting all of your produce, lettuce, tomatoes, whatever. Super easy. Hamburger helper, I don't know. I think the hamburger helper is always going to be like a last resort. I like hamburger helper. I literally was just telling my best friend today how I'm like, I kind of have a craving for hamburger helper today. But not like the box. I want to home make it, but I have to find a recipe for that. But literally, hamburger helper from the box, dude. One box is like what, $2? And then you just have to buy your meat. So that's like a $6 meal maybe. And depending on what meat you get. For a college kid, that's two meals right there for $6, you know? So potentially it's super easy. Oh, any of the rice skillet boxes, I think. Like I think Velveeta has a lot of rice skillets out there. Same situation as the hamburger helper. Um, oh, the TikTok famous baked feta pasta. So, you get your Roma and you get the feta cheese and you cook your noodles and you put in the pesto, put it in the oven, and boom, you mix it up. There you go. I want to try it. I haven't tried it yet, but it looks really good. Um, any quote sheet pan meals theoretically are really easy because you can prep all of the vegetables. Usually your sheet pan meals are very like vegetable oriented. You can for most vegetables, you can pre-chop, pre-slice your vegetables. So now all I gotta do is throw it on the sheet, put it in the oven for however long. Girl, go take a shower. Get home from work, assemble it, put it in the oven, go take a shower. And then as long as you don't take hour power showers, your food will be done. Um there's a lot of freezer burrito recipes out there that I've seen on TikTok and Reels and stuff. Generally it's like here's a high protein burrito, breakfast burrito or like a lunch burrito, but like sauces, rice, chicken or beef, and some produce in a burrito, and then you freeze it, and then when you're ready, take it out, heat it in the microwave, and it's good, which is so much better than look. I'm gonna say something, and then I'm gonna say something else. So just listen. Making your own freezer burritos is so much better than buying pre-made frozen burritos. But equally, if all you have time for and all you can get for your groceries that week is the pre-made burritos, freaking do it. We're trying to get these kids fed at the end of the day by any means necessary, you know? Um, I often buy pre-pattied frozen burgers because in the morning I'll take them out, put them in a dish, put them in the microwave, and then at the end of the day, they're thawed and they're not bad. They're still red. They've not grayed by any means. Boom. Takes less than 10 minutes to cook them, you know? And then, ooh, French bread pizzas. Y'all, let me put you onto something. Walmart has this fantastic French bread in their bakery. It comes in the gray bag because you're supposed to put it in the oven to like melt the butter and the garlic into the bread. Hmm. Girlfriend, it is so good. Use that to make your French bread pizzas. And this is another one that the kids can help with. They can make their own pizzas, put as much cheese as they want on it, put pepperoni if they want, put any vegetables that they want that you can get. Boom, pizza, you know? Done. Easy. So, let me see. I had some notes back here. Hold on. Oh, easy swaps or add-ons. So like any of the pasta dishes, if you can find like a protein version of it. Now, I'm not saying all protein versions taste good. I think I've seen like chickpea pasta and I can't remember what else I've seen. Certain pastas do not taste better as protein, but if you can make the switch from regular pasta to protein pasta, adding protein will never be a negative. I promise you that. Adding more protein to your diet as an American will always be a positive. Um, whole wheat, my say whole wheat pasta like spaghetti does not taste any different than regular spaghetti when you're eating it as spaghetti, okay? I mean, like when it's covered in sauce and you're eating it with meat and it's got the Parmesan cheese on it, it does not, it's unrecognizably undifferent than eating and tasting regular spaghetti. And then there's always like the vegetable spaghetti. I think was it rigatoni comes in the veggie spirals. Wait, no. I don't know what I'm talking about for what kind of spaghetti, but I've seen the one where it's like the three colors. It's the green, the red, and the white. And it's like basil, maybe, and or spinach, then tomato, and then either potato or regular spaghetti or pasta. But that just adds in a little bit of extra veggies into your diet, which is always fantastic. Um, anytime you can switch out for lean meats, so like switching beef to ground chicken or switching beef to ground turkey, or anytime you could do or add like a fish product, a seafood product, because uh, not most fish, I think, has omega-3, which is fantastic. Now there are good benefits for the red meat, but there's also a lot of unbeneficial things to having too much red meat. And if you could just like counterbalance it by getting ground turkey instead, which also, side note, in the times that I am recording this episode, I have found that the frozen ground turkey is half the price of frozen ground beef, anyways. So I would normally get frozen ground turkey anyway because it's like $2.30 and frozen ground beef is like $5, you know? So financially speaking, that just made sense. Um I don't know how the prices of turkey compared to beef are going to change over time. That's why I'm saying at the time of me recording this podcast, that's what the prices are or compare kind of. And then veggies. Anytime that you can sneak veggies into a meal, I've seen people um blend up extra veggies and put it in like tomato sauces for pastas. There's just different pasta noodles too. Um, you could always just add, straight up veggies on the plate. So, you know, and then I've also seen and slash have had this idea about if you're able to, what is the word? Not dry, but dry. What is the word? Dehydrate. If you're able to dehydrate like your vegetable scraps, then you can blend them up and make a quote vegetable powder. And then you can add this into sauces or like your mashed potatoes, you know, um, to try and add a little bit more vegetables into the diet. So those are just some ideas because y'all we like I said we just trying to get these dang kids fed. They don't care what they're eating necessarily. We're trying to stay away from fast food. So we're cooking at home, but I'm limited on time, I'm limited on patience, I'm limited on energy, and these kids have been hungry for the past 10 days, it seems like. So, those are some ideas. Again, go just Google it. Just put in like if you want more ideas or if you want the recipes to some of this stuff, just take what I said and just put it into Google, you know? Good old Google. So, that's I know. I know what else. I want to know because I know I have some experienced mothers who listen. So I want to know what kind of recipes have you guys done in the past when you're just trying to get these kids fed? What kind of tricks and tips do you guys have when you are just trying to get these dang kids fed? And how about some other ideas from other countries? Because I'm really only limited to what we do and have in America, but I know I have a couple international listeners too. So, what are like the quick, easy things that your parents fed you growing up, you know, across another parts of the world? So, very, very interested to hear what you guys have to say. You can always email me at averageghostmom@gmail.com. You can find me on TikTok and message me. You can find me on Instagram and message me. I'm fine with any of that. I'm actively working on getting a Facebook page set up so I can do more advertising of the podcast and advertise my TikTok as well. Um, Let me see. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, you can find me on Spotify, you can find me on YouTube. I would appreciate it. It would help me out so much, guys, if you would rate the podcast, leave comments for the podcast, preferably positive comments, but I guess if you really think I suck that much, then I guess let me know. So, that's all I got for now. So, thanks, guys. I love you, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.